If I had to label this year's BlizzCon with merely one word, it would be community. And of course, the community is always a massive focus in every BlizzCon, but this year in particular, I felt like Blizzard took a good while to think about what their fans want. Not just try to appeal to new markets, at least not solely, but also respond to the demands of those who have been dedicated fans for years. World of Warcraft finally goes back to its roots. Warcraft, no hand-holdy, we need to stick together anymore, at least not initially. The trailer showed we're going back to Alliance versus Horde. We're going back to vanilla with the announcement of Classic WoW as well. Hearthstone announced a new completely free single-player component. StarCraft 2 is going free to play altogether, and Heroes of the Storm keeps evolving, getting better and adding more content. And Overwatch? Well, it seems the developers heard us. A new hybrid map, a new support hero, and significant improvements to the spectating experience for pro play. They have been so quiet for the past little while, holding all of these news back to then drop all of them on us at BlizzCon. An obvious move that makes a whole lot of sense, of course. And while it eases the frustration of the current state of Overwatch, is it enough? Are they only trying to get us to shut up? Are they throwing us a bone? Or do they genuinely care about what we have to say? Honestly, it's hard to say at this point, but what's certainly interesting is the opportunity to get to hear the developers like we have never before. There is a difference between reading a forum post and hearing a developer share their unfiltered thoughts in front of a live audience, replying to questions we have been wanting answers to for a while. The one thing I learned while following BlizzCon was that they care. They really do seem to care and listen. During the developer Q&A for Overwatch, I was surprised to hear how many things they actually knew, showing that our complaints and our wishes do not fall on deaf ears. They knew and discussed that players wish for a system in which they can find others to play with and filter them by the roles they would be playing, something the community has been discussing for a while in this idea of a role-specific queue. An honest answer that tries to explain that the implementation of such a system is not easy and there are a variety of things to consider. Taking their time to try and explain to the fans why pleasing everyone is so difficult and what kinds of compromises they're dealing with. Developers are stuck between trying to put all their passion in their work, trying to make their own vision become reality, and having to appeal to the millions upon millions of voices that criticize them day in and day out. As a consumer and as a fan, having seen the passion in the eyes of the developers when they presented what they are most passionate about, hoping that the people in front of them would like it, whether we're talking about Overwatch, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, or Heroes of the Storm, that has been incredible. And it reminds me every year why I am a fan of Blizzard games. You see me get angry on this channel a whole lot. Sure, that is kind of my persona. And also when I play privately, I get angry over all kinds of things. I curse balancing decisions I don't agree with. I roll my eyes over the way cosmetics have been implemented. I sigh in defeat when I look at a piece of content that I hope would be amazing, but turned out to be very underwhelming to me personally. And on YouTube, I express those feelings. I let the world know how I feel about those games that I am so passionate about. I criticize them and I hope that they improve, even when my videos never once reach the ears of a developer. Those who don't put any effort towards improvement have no right to complain about stagnation, and that's one of the principles I work with. If I didn't care about Overwatch, I would stop playing it and I would stop covering it. And right before BlizzCon, I was struggling with coming up with video ideas. They were holding back all the info to drop news on us at BlizzCon, and sure, news channels do strive during this time, but I'm not one of them. Whenever I try to cover news, I'm either way too late to the party or decide to cover something I'm personally interested in, but nobody else really is. Now I sit here having watched BlizzCon and getting excited for what is to come, and I find myself in this position of not wanting to complain. I know, strange, isn't it? Sometimes people think that my videos are based more in objectivity than they really are. I do put effort into separating opinion from fact whenever I make a video, but nothing I talk about is the be-all and end-all of, quite frankly, anything. My stance now after BlizzCon is the same as before BlizzCon. I don't want to keep bashing on the same issues because I feel they need time to implement the fixes. We might not have gotten any groundbreaking announcements that suddenly make me feel like rank play will turn from an inherently flawed game mode into an absolutely amazing one, but I never expected that to begin with. All I wanted to know is that the developers care and that they listen, and while they tried to tell us from the forum posts before, again, hearing it from them live on stage is another story entirely. Now that does not mean that I suddenly have a soft spot that stops me from ever uttering a bad word about the game by any means. It just means that I find it very difficult to find anything to talk about. We're kind of in a state of anticipation right now. We're waiting for the Ana buff, the Mercy nerf, and for Moira to be released, and I'm sure there will be a lot to discuss once we're dealing with these things, and I will be as critical as ever when that time comes. I just want you all to know that with all the complaining and criticizing, don't get the wrong picture of me. Sure, sometimes I exaggerate for comedic effect or to get a particular point across, and very often I discuss things for the hell of it, to get a conversation going or just because I think it's a fun thing to dive deeper than necessary. But that does not mean that I hate the game. It means that I like it so much that I care enough to spend my time overanalyzing things, discussing it and diving deeper than anyone would care to call necessary. Overwatch is as much of an amazing game as it is a terrible game. There is as much to love as there is to hate. And if nothing else, at least we have an incredibly interesting title at our hands that creates a lot of discussion. But this is me done for the days. I just casually talk about how I feel about BlizzCon and the current state of relationship between developers and our player base. A bit of an odd one for sure, but hey, if you enjoyed the video then do let me know by dropping me a like on your way out. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time.